So yes, we're just going to ask Mr. Kayode to come up, but first let me just quickly introduce him. Another phenomenal speaker. So Mr. Kayode Ariyo, he's a seasoned entrepreneur. I love that. He has grown 3 businesses from startup to millions in annual sales through effective business planning, creative sales techniques, and innovative marketing. He's a co-founder and former managing director of Global Apex, and I believe he's with Accelerex at the moment. He's the CEO and global head, I believe.
Exactly.
Yes. I wasn't going to leave that out. So phenomenal accolades. So I'm just going to pass it on to Mr. Kayode to blow us away at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Mr. Kayode. Take it away.
Thank you, Delma. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all the previous speakers. They've done justice to the work and left little for me to do. My name is Kayode Ariyo. I currently sit on the board of Accelerex Holding and currently a co-founder, which I co-founded. I am the executive director in charge of business development and operations for one of the subsidiaries, Global Accelerex Nigeria Limited. I started my business career from secondary school. My mom never encouraged us to work for anyone. So we built the rudiments from working with her, and also I started a small hustle distributing beer across beer parlors in around Mokola and Songo. Those of you familiar with Ibadan, and I would leverage on trade credit from her and use our pickup van to distribute the beer. And one of the key learnings was the way she introduced us into understanding finance, the concept of finance, which I think for every entrepreneur, you must have that basic understanding of money. How do you make money? Cost reduction and increase in your revenue. How do you have visibility into your entire operations to be sure that you're making money? You're not just rolling cash. Like some of the other speakers have mentioned, when do you pivot? When having an understanding of that business, I see an entrepreneur as a tactical commander where the dynamics of the situation changes as it progresses in the course of the war. And he must come up with strategies and execution plans to make sure he can mitigate those various risks that come up. You talked about money. I'll dive more about how do you raise money. We talked about, the other speakers have talked about different strategies to raising money. I'll share my own personal experience. We talked about your network. It's your network. That's what we hear. It is so important that you network, and you also have sponsors for your businesses. You have a mentor. You have people who rely on, who you can rely on. You report back. You consult them. When you consult, you're able to solve your problems. You get ideas on how to solve your problems. Ability to take risks. You have to dogged. You have to be extremely dogged. Nigeria is a very harsh terrain. It's very unforgiving for entrepreneurs. It's as if everything is set up to work against you. But in the midst of that, there are opportunities in Nigeria. They're in every corner. That makes it very interesting. Every time I'm coming back into the country, I notice we have more foreigners on the flights than Nigerians. And that always keeps me awake that there must be something here that they are seeing. And that keeps me going. You must be inquisitive enough and be able to identify opportunities and to know how to harness those opportunities. It is very, very important as an entrepreneur. You must be able to identify those opportunities, how to harness it, how to pull resources together, capital resources, financial resources, any resources you need to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. I recall when I talked about the funding of the beer business. When I got into the university, we identified blue chip companies around Ibadan, and NBL, Ferodo, Leyland, a few other companies. Then the Nigerites, we were doing procurement for them. UNICEF in Ibadan, doing printing it, and just make a margin. Brokerage, we buy and we sell. See how we can leverage on supplier credits, try and negotiate trade credits to help fund the business. Sometimes you may need contribution. How do you, within your network, raise money and ensure that you keep to those terms that you've agreed? If anything is going to change, you need to get back to your principal, and because your credibility is so important in raising money. When I used to import rice, sugar, fertilizer in shiploads, I did not have a dime. I did not have my own money to do it. But what did we do? We leveraged on supplier credits. We also engaged banks. In the process, we learned how to assess funding from banks. But one thing you must ensure is that whatever money you're going to take, if be it debt, you must ensure the business has enough margin to be able to cover the cost, cover the interest, and leave you with a margin. The whole idea of you being in a business, you want to make money, you want to add value, and you must not be sentimental about any business. You must be very objective, extremely objective. You must be passionate about your dreams and your plans, and you must continually review those plans. Look at the market indices. Your customers are the king. They are the ones that pay your salary, they pay your business, they keep your business alive. You must be sensitive to their needs. You must listen to them. You must react and proactively respond to their needs. It is very, very important. You must be innovative. You must give them options. You must also think about how you can deliver more value to them. As long as you're delivering value, as long as you're creating value, you will remain in business. You must also ensure that you put in the right structures. I recall Mr. Tony mentioned something about who you partner with. I'm going to delve a bit on that. It is so important. If you have a partner who lacks understanding about simply the difference between shareholders, board, and executive management, that can bring about chaos. A partner that does not understand the difference between debt and equity, as simple as that. You see that when businesses start up, when they start, a lot of times people come in together, they bring in their ideas, some bring in money, and then some will come and go, I brought the money. No, I have the idea. Being able to come up with a framework that basically brings about equity in a scientific manner. For example, if you were supposed to have employed someone who is bringing the idea or rendering a service for the business, and he's supposed to be compensated with an amount, he can vest the shares of the business if you're the one putting out the money. You must ensure that everybody is educated, they have that simple knowledge. It is so critical. It's a critical success factor for any business. You must ensure that as you execute your vision and your plans, you must ensure you must have corporate governance driving that business. Proper rules, policies that drive it. It is so important. Continually review those processes. I was in a particular business, a college business. When I started that business, and about 7-8 years into the business, the direct cost used to be out between to some specific destinations about 6 to 10%. And when due to inflation and the devaluation of the naira, the direct cost became, for that same distance, grew to as much as 60%. What that means is that your margins have been completely eroded. And what did I do? I was very objective. And what I talked about, ensuring that you look at all the indices that drive that a particular business. We looked into it, and I called my shareholders and directors and said, look, this business is no more viable. With this guy, all our margins have been eroded. We cannot make money. There's no way this business, and I've looked at the mindset of the other players in the industry, even the customers. Customers are indirectly subsidizing their business. Looked at the various delays and a few other things, and I knew this will never be viable. And what did I do? I gradually shut down that business. Boye mentioned something earlier and said, look, no sentiment, be very objective. Objective about business, take the learnings from it and move on. Ensuring you gather intelligence about your industry, about the nation, about where you're going. And diversification is also very risk. You need to diversify your risk, country risk. You need to diversify the business risk as you grow in the business, and ensuring that you have enough funding. Your promoters, how do you market yourself to them? How do you present yourself to them? How do you present your books to the investors? How have you kept up with your obligations? People are going to watch that. When one of our businesses, a supplier started with $10,000 credit. Today we enjoy over $5 million credit from that same supplier, enjoying a 120 days to 180 days credit line. But one of the things we have ensured and maintained on our own part is to ensure that we pay as at when due. This same supplier is asking us if we need more money. They're supporting us for our African expansion. When you do those things right, you're going to attract money. You're going to attract money. You need to understand, based on your plans, look at future required capital for the business, ensuring that you put a plan in place to, at every stage of the business, you can harness the capital required for the growth. Would you always have issues? When there was a time in my business, our rice business went very bad, and we were owing a lot of money. We were owing the bank, and that is one story I think we can share an experience with. The openness and the transparency in which we handled it. We engaged the bank and said, yes, we've had a problem. This is a problem. Give them all the figures. We had the figures. We had the information. Show them. The regional manager of the bank took me to the managing director and sat with him and said, the loan was so, it had gone bad. It was non-performing for over 13 months. And I approached him and I told him, MD, so what do you want us to do? My prayer is, can you waive the interest 100% and give us, renew our line so that we can kickstart our business again? And he said, okay, we will not give you a 100% waiver, but we'll give you a 90% waiver of the interest. And our line was released, and we were able to trade off that the outstanding liability over an 18-month period. The transparency, openness, it is very important to ensure you have that. We must also consult widely. I've talked about your network, how to improve your business processes, then your staffs, your associates. Boeb talked something, they talked about ensuring you have great staff. When you have great staff, ensure you reward them well, compensate them well, make sure they're happy, because they have their own goals and objectives as well. Ensure that their personal goals and objectives can almost align with the company's goals and objectives. So that way, they're carried along, they're happy. Don't try to cut corners with staffs in terms of reward. Great staffs. Let me use Boye's words, great staffs. Ensure you compensate them adequately. Ensure you also leave enough for yourself, and you keep investing. You keep investing, diversifying the business to diversify the risk. I think with all that, there's no way an entrepreneur will not create value ultimately. And what kind of culture are you grooming within the organization? It is very, very important. Because your staffs are watching you. You create a rule within the organization, and you are yourself flaunt the rule. what kind of example are you being? Make sure that you're the right example for everyone around. You need to also ensure you study, keep studying, be a domain expert in that field. But ensure you attend seminars within that industry you play in. Continually check the profitability of that industry. We made mention earlier of the stockbroking firm when the margins were, because it's a regulated industry, so the commissions they made was shaved. When that happens, what should you be looking at? Are you thinking of pivoting? If it's not going to be sustainable, if you look at the margins are thinning out and it's not going to make the business look viable, no sentiments, you know it may be time for you to pivot. If you have an opportunity to sell the business, sell it off and don't get something else. I think that's about all. If you have any questions, please, I'm open to questions.
Mr. Kayode, another fantastic speech there. That was phenomenal. And I've just taken down some pointers as well that I just have to highlight for you. Number one, entrepreneurs are a tactical commander at a war front. That is phenomenal, and I love that. And that's actually made me see entrepreneurialism in a very, very different light. Number two, leverage on supplier credit. Number three, be extremely objective in business, and that's coming up again, and that's so important. Number four, put in the right structures. Number five, diversification is important once growth occurs. Number six, reward your staff well, and I think that's really, really important. I think, Mr. Kayode, you'd be such a fantastic tutor or lecturer or can I say mentor in the area of accelerators, actually, because you really, really do teach quite heavily on businesses after a certain level. And I think that's just so profound, everything you offer. Number seven, what kind of culture are you grooming? That is so important. What examples are you setting as a leader and as a CEO or founder for your staff and for your team and for your business? Be a domain expert. I love that. Never stop learning. I absolutely love that one. And also check the viability of your industry. And I think it's so key. And I think such a key one before the questions come. So guys, as I'm speaking, be thinking about your question for Mr. Kayode, because he has to run off as well. To be honest and to be open here, I had a situation where I was being so sentimental, actually, with a client, because I knew them. I did an event in February, and it was usually I would send my staff to run an event. I'd focus on something else, but I was there, headstrong. I was doing the work, and at the end, no payment, nothing. And that was such a huge lesson for me. I took it as a loss, but it was also a gain, because I learned actually you can't be sentimental. And I did mention at the beginning, let's be careful as business owners when working with friends, when working with close families. Again, I would also say, please, just to add to Mr. Kayode's amazing, profound wisdom, please, everybody who's a business owner or entrepreneur, people who are thinking about it, please don't agree anything without a contract. Please put things in writing. If it's a text, if it's a WhatsApp message, if it's an email, put everything in writing. If somebody says, yes, I'm going to pay you X amount for you to execute, everything should be in writing. Don't move until you've agreed, or else you're going to be one hell of a sour entrepreneur. And that's something I actually learned. Imagine, coming from the UK, people usually are quite trusting, I would say. But coming into this sphere is very, very different for me. So guys, please, let's be guided. Any questions for Mr. Kayode? Because I have a million questions. Any questions for him at all? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask mine whilst the other questions are coming in. Mr. Kayode, you mentioned about supplier credit. You gave a story about when you first started exporting rice and other goods, which is fantastic, and sugar and stuff like that. How did you get access to that supplier credit? Was it difficult for you to, liaise with banks or or whoever the instrument was for you to get this loan? How did you go about it? And what can you advise people like us who are trying to?
Thank you very much. There were two suppliers. We had identified three major suppliers. One of them was from the US. So one of them will get on the internet, contact suppliers. We looked at the major companies that brought in commodities into Nigeria, who their suppliers are, and we engaged them. The first one we assessed credit from, the CEO was going to visit Nigeria, one of their other clients, and we set up a meeting with him. It was at Sheraton here in Ikeja, and we went to meet with him. And he asked us, "Have you ever sold this?" We just said no. But how do you intend to go about it? We told him, and he was convinced that I'm going to give you a trial. I will send you about 6,000 metric tons, 6 to 7,000 metric tons. If you're able to sell that and everything goes right, we'll give you more. Because they're also looking for outlets and looking for credible people. So he took a chance on us. And one of the things we did was to, and of course, we started learning. I would say that was my own MBA, business MBA. We had to go and take some learnings. What will be the pitfalls? One of the major sellers, distributors in Nigeria, had mentioned to us that you must avoid demurrage on the vessel. Demurrage on the vessel, if you bring in a vessel, demurrage could be as high as 18,000, as at that time, sometimes $18,000 a day, and that could wipe out your entire profit. So what do we need to do to ensure we avoided bottlenecks with offloading, with storage, with shipment, logistics, and that was it. So I would say there's also a God factor in it. You must be able to convince the people you want to access credit from. You must come with very good and well-articulated plan to show them that their money is safe. If some of them will do a credit check on you, if they do, they must have people they can reference, which is where the network also comes in, and we will give them the comfort, the required comfort. Without that, you may not be able to access the credit. So that was how we did it. And immediately we did the first shipment and it was successful. That just made the business operative, and they kept sending vessels to us monthly. So it all depends on like I said, you've identified the opportunity. So first thing you do is ensure that to measure how viable that opportunity is. Does it also have a lifespan? You need to, and once you've identified that, then you need to put together the resources. So what do you need to make it work, to be able to execute on that vision? Do you need people? If you need people, you're starting off, can you afford to employ them? No. Can you afford to give them a contract? Can you afford to leverage on relationship for them to basically handle that aspect that you need? Funding, where can you assess? What can you assess? What can you leverage on? I recall can you get a PO from an AA-rated company, as an example, that will be bankable? If you get a PO from a Nigerian brewery or a Guinness, any bank today will jump at it to finance you, as long as you can prove that there's a margin in it, in that business. So those kind of things where you need to be able to put together the required resources and manage those resources. And as you manage them, you need to continually review the step by step and look at what you take out, what you bring in, till you get to, because like I said, it's a continuous improvement, you need to continually look at it. Your vision today, if you draw a vision today, it may take you first 1 year or 2 years of the business. Within that period, by the time you get into the 2-year period, you must have created another vision that will take you to the next growth phase. And in doing that, you must identify the resources that you require. So that building block in stages will help you arrive at that. And then what kind of policies will drive that? What kind of structure do you need to put in place? A structure that will run a one-man business is different from a structure that will run several businesses across various regions, having various kind of issues that they're dealing with, because issues will always arise. So looking at that, understanding that as you grow, you must, and being able to put in that the required structure and the resources that is required, people, money, any kind of resources, process that is required to make that business successful is very key to you achieving that. Import, I don't export. I've never done exports. But my advice to you, when you want to do anything like that, the best thing is you try and be a broker. Don't try and take a risk of saying you want to go into the fields. You want to export, most likely the kind of contract you sign with your buyer must be one where the inspection can be carried out maybe in Nigeria, and payment. So what they need to appoint an inspector. The inspector ensures that it meets their quality and quantity before you pay the supplier. And so you get a supplier who takes the risk of buying from the field. Yes, you may make lower margins. You'll take the risk of moving it to the ports. When it gets there and it is confirmed that it meets the specs of your supply of your buyer, then you can pay them, and then you get payment in turn. I think that if you stay out of the value chain, if you stay there in that brokerage role, the chances of you losing money will be lower than you trying to go to the field, going to give money to farmers. Managing that risk, I'm not sure may be good for you.
On that note, thank you so much. We're really grateful for your time. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. First of all, Mr. Kayode, it's such an honor. We're so grateful for your time, your wisdom, your insight. Please, before you leave, do share your email address in the chat section.